So everybody, welcome to the webinar, the 40 V18 R6 webinar. This is something that Ad and I are really happy that we get to do. It not only helps us get to talk about what's going on with 4D with everybody that attends, and then we share it. It also helps us learn about exactly what's going on with all the new 4D features. It's difficult to keep up to date, and we use this as a tool for us to learn and to really see how 4D is going along and to mark the major milestones. So my name is Will Taylor. I'm the technical account manager, and I head up the professional services team for the US. And joining me is the director of technical services, Ad Komoncharoensiri. There's a bunch of stuff in this release. There's a lot of really cool things that we're going to go over. The way that it's going to work is I'm going to go topic by topic, and between each topic, we're going to review the, we're going to ask for questions and answers. And I'm going to ask that we keep the questions and answers related to the topics at hand. If you do have other 4D related questions, feel free to reach out. But any off-topic questions will not be addressed right now, and we'll be sure to take anything up. So, and that being said, yeah, let's get started. So first topics are going to be the email and web server improvements in 4D. So we've added actually three new features to the three new main features to emails. The first one is the ability to connect your IMAP, SMTP, or POP3 transporter natively via OAuth 2.0 protocol to your email server. We've seen that this is a trend in the recent past, and we've needed, and a lot of email servers and companies are requiring this sort of connection to their email servers. So you're now able to do it natively in 4D. So hassle-free natively. You were always able to do it, but it required a lot of setting up, and now you're able to do it super simply. So next, we have the possibility to manage IMAP flags. And this helps with the management of your emails and the synchronization with your server. So the various flags that you can manage are as follows: read, when the mail's been read; replied, if the mail's been followed up or answered; flagged, if you need to follow up later on or a reminder; deleted, if the mail has been marked to be deleted, or if it's a draft. So that gives you a little bit more granularity when you're working with your IMAP emails. And another really cool feature is the ability to save emails into specific mailboxes. So, you know, when you're using Apple Mail or Outlook, when you send an email, you put the email in the sent email box, right? Well, that's not a standard SMTP thing. That's an email client feature that's implemented using that. So now, what you're able to do is use the append feature, use the append function to save your emails into a specific email, into a specific folder, in the sent folder, for example. So, and then you can also use that to put that in the draft email folder if you want to do something like that. So more functionality using IMAP is being added as we go along in the releases. So that's great. And the next thing I'd like to talk about are scalable web sessions. So in version 13, 4D implemented a new web server with session management, which helped a developer to maintain their sessions, right? So this was great, but it had one downside. All of those sessions were running in the same thread, which could create a bottleneck if a lot of people were sending a request at the same time. So now, starting with V18, you're able to have what we call scalable web sessions, which allows for 4D to manage the sessions across all available cores And this is a major performance increase with a click of a button. So that's pretty awesome. And of course, as you need to share data between your processes, you're able to use shared objects, and you're able to share information between the processes using shared objects. So it's all coming together, right? So that's it for the email server and web server. So I'm going to quickly, if you have questions, on topic questions, we'll definitely get on that.
And we have one question from Eric.
So Eric, so yeah, someone asked, are these features strong enough to build a full email client within 4D? I'm going to let Ad answer that because that's what he's been doing.
A quick answer would be yes. I actually started to build sort of an email client that is similar to the way Outlook function, Outlook email function offer to the user. You know, you have all of the mailboxes available, and each mailbox contains each mail where you can do a search. You can list all of your emails and grab the body, whether it's in a text type or multi-part text HTML. You can download attachment. So far, all of my tests has shown that you should be able to build a full email capability within 4D application. Now, in some of the cases that you might use, the email function might not be a specific, Outlook type of function. You might just integrate a particular feature, as part of the Imap to pull email in based on your search criteria. And then you have operations that you can act upon the result that you get from your email that you just perform a query on. So yes, the answer is yes.
Thank you, Ed. And the next question is about the scalable web sessions. So does scalable web sessions require, does the ability to use the scalable web sessions require that the web sessions themselves are thread safe or preemptive?
Yes.
Yes.
That's part of the, running preemptive thread. Everything that you have written as part of your code, 4D code, has to be thread safe. So by default, normally if you're coming from an application that has been written over the years, you will have to retrofit, you remove some of the things like inter-process variable, make sure that all of the commands that it's being called are thread safe to be able to utilize that fully.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Ed. And then another question about the same, I'm going to the Q&A section now. So someone asked, is there anything else needed for scalable web sessions than the checkboxes? And the answer to that is, which adds response, yes, the code needs to be thread safe. Okay. WA formerly unable to send email to
area, I think.
Web area was formerly unable to send email to Gmail addresses. Is that fixed now? I think that may be a little bit. I'm not sure what your
question. If you're talking about if you open up Gmail within the web area and you are unable to send email, I'm unaware of it.
Yeah, and if you are having an issue like that, please by all means raise a 𝐷AO case, and then we can get to that. That seems like a So or raise it on discuss. That's not it's a web area question. And can someone ask
So we won't be able to demonstrate or give an example of how to use the share object here, but there are plenty of example on the knowledge base, including the blog, 40 blogs. I would encourage you to go through those websites, as well as maybe you have additional questions, go to the forums.
Okay, thank you. Any further questions? And again, if you have specific support questions, or if this bug is fixed or that bug is fixed, I invite you to look at the release notes and the bug chain and the change list. And if you are experiencing issues with your application, or there are bugs that are affecting you, by all means, ask in discuss.40.com, or raise a case in 𝐷, and we will get to that.
We have one more question.
Oh, there's one more question. Okay.
Yeah, from there.
In the chat?
Yeah. So can you easily extract email from Imap, the body from Imap emails? The answer is yes. And it's just quite simple to do so. I've done it. It just happened that we don't have an example to show you right now, but if you take a look at our documentation and the blog, we have some example that will show you how to do that. And then in the near future, there will be more example in terms of how to use Imap, including an example database that will be available on GitHub.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool. All great questions. Thank you. Thanks, Ed. So next thing we're going to go on to is developer features. So what we consider developer features are additions to the development studio itself and the debugger. So sometimes you want to know what the syntax is for the function that you're about to use with a short description when you're typing. So now from the code editor, you can see all the syntaxes for the function, even overloaded ones, directly in the code editor. Here's an example of order by. So here we have creating a new collection, putting some objects in the collection. And then we have a query and we order by. And then we see order by has one of 4 different signatures that can be used for a variety of parameters and return values. So we'll look at it again. So we have a query, and then we want to order by the query, and then we're able to toggle through which all of the various definitions that order by can be called as. So it's just it's a productivity tool that we feel will greatly help, especially now that we are starting to have these overloaded functions, and so that we can reduce confusion and help you code faster. And now 2 further tools for developers are provided in the 40 debugger, starting from 40 v18 R6. So knowing the input and output parameters of a method or a function, as well as their types, are essential for coding and then debugging the code. So starting in 18 R6, you now are able to toggle the showing of the input or output in the debug, the parameters, the input and output types of the parameters in the debugger. So that's really cool. And then also, you're able to now see your comments in the inline code portion of the debugger. So you're able to see the comments here. For the comments for the function, you're able to now see those in the code editor, in the code portion of the debugger. Excuse me. So, both really cool things to help you debug better. And that's it for the for that portion. So let me check the chat. If you have any questions, by all means, raise them. So someone asked, are these features available only in project-based databases or binary-based databases as well? I can't tell you which one is which. There's a lot of features that I'm going over here right now, and it's difficult to know which ones are in which. It generally says it in the blog post, but I didn't note it right now. So I invite you to.
That's something that we'll probably have to get back to you. There are a number of things that are specific to project modes, and there are things that will be transparent between two modes. But we'll find out exactly which is which, and we'll post it a follow-up question, follow-up answer.
And going forward, it's best to move to project mode. Just all of these features are definitely in project mode. Some of these features are not in project mode. So it's best to move to project mode. And is there any way to adjust the font size in the debugger? I've never tried.
You can, this is sort of outside of the context, but you could do a shortcut key, which is to increase the size of the font and decrease the size of the font, the same way that you would do in the method editor.
Okay, thank you, Ed. That was a simple.
Okay, there's some from the Q&A.
Yeah, so someone asked, does the position of the comment matter on the tip? So that's in the that's a question about the comments in the debug editor. I guess it does. I guess it's up right above the function definition. That's what I would imagine is where it's coming from. You say the comments are visible. How can you limit how much comments are visible? There is an arrow on the comment. So if I go back to this, sorry, bear with me. I played a little bit. There is this arrow, so you can either toggle it or not toggle it right there. So you're able to limit how much the comments are visible. Either pretty much the first line or all of it. So someone asked, where is overloading described in the documentation? That's described in the class documentation and developer.40.com. And overloading is just calling a method the same thing with different input parameters. And or output parameters, or yeah, input parameters. Has the debugger become more I don't think that that's a I don't think that that is a pertinent question. If you are having issues with the debugger, let us know and we can get to it. But I don't think that that's not a question that we will necessarily get to right now. So,
question to the forum. I think that would be the more appropriate channel.
Yeah. So let me just make sure that, let me just clean up. So where is the idea of overloading defined? And that would, for me, that's in the developer.40.com. All of the new class things are being defined in developer.40.com. So have a look there and look at the class, how to define class definitions. Okay, so thank you. No more questions? Okay. And then next we're going to move on to the 40 View Pro, which is the spreadsheeting tool, the integrated spreadsheeting tool based on the Spread.js engine. So, V18 R6 provides 2 new events to help determine when your calculations are complete in your 40 View Pro area. So this is the VP range change and the on timer event. And this can be useful in, let's say, in 2 cases. The first one is you have a really complicated 40 View Pro area, a spreadsheet, and you have a bunch of formulas and data and just you're going wild with this. And you want to alert the end user when it's actually finished, so you can use these 2 events to be able to alert the end user of that. Another thing that you may want to be able to do is if you're using an off-screen area for your 40 View Pro document and you want to export to PDF only when the document has been finished or finalized for emailing or saving locally, you can do that now as well and you can do it smartly. You can do it as soon as it's done. So that's pretty cool. And then from the blog, this is a little bit of code. So you're able to use this is fast, but you're able to grab the document. You're able to see when it's changed, and when it's done, you're able to do a VP export of the document to a PDF, for example. So that's super cool. And now you're able to use find and replace in your 40 View Pro document. And this is for formulae, data, and tags. So you have with this for this VP find function, you are now able to search in your 40 View Pro area. Oh, thank you. You're able to search in your 40 View Pro area, and you are able to. Sorry, I got a little bit poll that shot up. Yeah, please answer that poll if you can get to it. That'd be great. I didn't expect to see that. You're able to look inside of your 40 View Pro area, and then you're able to, with a lot of granularity of attributes and this and that, you're able to do replaces the way that you would be able to do in Excel, for example, or Word. So here we go. So here we have a 40 View Pro document or area. We're going to find United States, for example, and you're able to search by value, formula. If it's a formula, match case, match in style content, use wildcards, etc. And then you maybe want to replace it with just USA. So I look through the thing, I make sure it looks okay, and I just replace with USA. So that gets a little funny. Oh, I'll look at those polls later. And then Listbox. So we've added some new functions to Listbox. So I'm glad I'm able to get to talk to this a little bit because I had a little bit of difficulty understanding what this feature actually was, and it's quite cool. So what this feature allows you to do is, starting with V18, the on-clicked event is triggered whether a cell is being edited or not, giving you increased control of the interface. And so here's a really cool demo to be able to show. So in the demo, I'm going to use contextual clicks to have a drop down to mean different things depending on whether or not I'm editing the cell or just clicking or just highlighting the cell. So let's have a look. So here we have a really simple list box, last name, first name. I click in there, and then I have a contextual that says going to be uppercase, lowercase, capitalize. And when I go to edit the cell, I type A, and then I do a contextual click, and I get to pick a name from a list of people that start with A as a first name. And the same thing I have in the last name, I have the ability to do first name capitalization. And I click B and I click Beretta. So B, contextual click, and then I click in there and I can capitalize it, or wait, that's not what I meant. I meant to, actually meant to uppercase it. And then I can lowercase the other one without, so that just provides a lot of granularity in for you to be able to use your list boxes how you need to be able to use them in your application. So very cool stuff. And I think I had some time for survey questions. I think those are getting answered as we go. So thank you for answering those things. Not sure if that's our first time using survey questions. I forgot to mention it, but if you would like to respond, that would be great. We're just trying to get a poll a little bit and to see how this kind of the survey works in the webinar to see if we can use it later. So, so thank you for that. Wait, I'm going to go back. Bear with me, and I'm going to go to the chat, first the chat, and then the Q&A. Okay, so someone asked, does the on-click work the same in list boxes as it does in 4D Pro?
I'm trying to think about how to answer that.
Good question.
Yeah, a good question. I have not played around much with the on-click in 4D Pro. What you just saw earlier was specific to the functionality within the list box. What's added is, as you see, the ability to detect a click within a cell, whether it's being edited or it's just being selected. Now, in terms of the 4D Pro, I cannot tell you. Currently, I have not played around with it too much. So we might have to get back to you on that.
Okay, and then I think that's it. Wait 1 second. So someone asked, is the new click functionality available for all list boxes or just arrays, for example? The answer is all.
Oh. Any other question in regards to list boxes on click or 4D Pro?
Anything else? Yeah, I didn't. So someone said that's a cool new feature. I agree. I didn't quite get it until I saw it, until Ad showed me it working live, and I thought it was pretty cool. So thanks, Ad. So that's it. I'm going to go to the next slide. So the next topic is 4D Write Pro. So 4D Write Pro is a word processing engine inside 4D View, our native word processing text engine. So, with starting with 4D Fusion 18 R6, we have now extended our toolbar and widget to have a lot more interesting features that are just standard out of the box and interesting features. So now you're able to highlight text and capitalize, lowercase, change the spacing of a paragraph or a line, and also change the background color of paragraphs. So out of the box. And again, all of this, how this works, all of this is on GitHub, and you can then incorporate this into your application however you need to. So this is just a way. So we have a text document. When I want to make that bigger, and that was already there. Lowercase, uppercase, everything, or just capitalize. So that's cool. And then maybe I want to, so then I'm just going to go through and play with these. So I'm going to change the margins on this one to 12-point margin. And then you can change the background color as well. That's how that works. Again, these are features that are in the these are features that you can definitely play with inside the on our GitHub, in a demo application in our GitHub, and just have a look and use what you need. And you can also, as of 40 version 18R5, restrict what people are seeing and aren't seeing in the toolbar, and etc. So more and more control over what you can have in your toolbar for free and what you're showing to your end users. So super cool. And then I think there was a survey question, but we may have. Okay, this is the survey question. So we're there. Yeah, please. Yeah, if you wouldn't mind answering the survey question, this just kind of gives us see how this works. And we appreciate your responses. Okay. So if you do get to it, we have about 75% of responses. If you can get to that, that'd be great. I'll let we can end the poll a little bit, but while we're going, there's a question about in 4D Pro, should I expect any problems with using special symbols or if you're or something like Arabic, like a different alphabet or writing from right to left? I don't think you should expect
symbol if it's part of the UTF-8 characters Unicode. You should not have a problem. The engine will render those characters automatically.
Cool. And if you do run into any issues, we are deploying this around, people are using this around the world in a variety of different languages. So it is tested around the world by end users. So if you do run into any issues, by all means, discuss.40.com or open up a TAO case, and we can definitely look into that. So thank you.
That's a question from Chris. This is from in the chat area. I've been meaning to ask if the view and write capability can be included in a single user built app. The answer is yes. You can build any merge application, whether it's single user or client server, and depends on the type of license that you have available that you're using to build with. That will be based on that.
Thank you, Ed. So, that was we're in the Q&A portion. Oh, I think we're getting there. Any other questions? Again, I can get to it next round too if you have a question that comes up. And thank you for taking the time to respond to the poll. Next is on to 4D for iOS. One of the most exciting new features one of the most exciting new features in 4D, facets in 4D, and we're continuing to add more and more features as the features get requested by developers. So the way that 4D for iOS is currently working is we're working on a backlog of features for 4D or for iOS that we feel that people need. That's great until the developers actually get their hands on it, and then we like you, and we talk and we listen and we understand all the features that you will need to be implemented in the application. And if there are features that are in the backlog that need to be prioritized or done faster, so that way we can get it in your hands, then we do it. So all of the features that you're seeing here today were feature requests from end users for them to be that they needed in order to make sure their application did what it needed to do in the field. So these are all for features. These are all for live applications. So the first one is many-to-many linking. So depending on your use case, you may need to have many-to-many links. So now the way that we implemented it is you can now, I guess, concatenate many-to-one and one-to-many links to create a many-to-many relation in your application. So like, for example, yeah, you can imagine what I'm talking about. Products to sellers. So we want to be able to do it. So products, sellers, and then products from seller. So you can have many-to-many links in your application just by the click of a button in the 4D for iOS builder application. So that's super cool. Another thing that's interesting is there's always a question about how the 4D for iOS data syncs up in your application, because you can go offline, you can go online. It seems to be it's not a constant connection like you have with the standard 4D client in the client server mode. So now what we're able to do is we're able to now force a resync of information using push notifications. So say, for example, you're looking at Sophie Adams's profile in your let's say company address, and Sophie recently, since you've been looking at the application, Sophie has changed her number, or her number has been changed in the back end. Well, you're sitting here with your iPhone. Your iPhone is connected to Wi-Fi, so it is connected to the server theoretically, and then you would want to be able to get that new number as soon as it shows up. So you're able to now say, looking at the demo, you have the number there, 445522. Updated contact number is going to show up. It's going to relaunch you, and it's going to take you to the push notification to show you the new telephone number for Sophie Adams. So just another way to incorporate another way to be able to force the update of information in your application to make sure that you always have the latest and greatest. So super cool. Another thing, so starting in 18R6, you're able to scan barcodes out of the box. So in this demo, you see here in the form builder, we've got this thing that says enable barcode scanner. So that way in your application, when you click the search, it'll open up your camera and it'll get the barcode scanner. And then it takes the end user to the location in the application that it needs to go. For example, in this application, what we're going to see is when we click the search method, the search, you see this little barcode thing there. You click the search, it's going to open up. You're going to take a picture, and it's going to take you. You're going to take a scan of barcode, and it's going to take you to, in this example, a project that person is working on, or that person's project. So just have a quick look about how that would work in real life. So you're in your application, click on it, take a picture, and then it takes you to that form, that detail form for a project. Or it shows you all of the projects that that person is working on. Okay. So super cool. And this supports all modern barcode formats, QR code, and all sorts of different ones. And the details are in developer.40.com. Okay. So like, just say, for example, you have an inventory management application, and all of your, like at IKEA, and all of the rows and spots on the wall have barcodes on like the nameplate of what is in that thing. So imagine if you take your application, you searched, and you would take it, and you take a picture, and it would take you directly to the location in the application that showed maybe the detailed form of that product. So super cool. And then starting with 18R6, you're also able to use the standard function, the gathering of a signature with your finger. So you're able to sign, like what you may do. I know you probably don't want people, since coronavirus, touching your phone a bunch, or you don't want to touch that, but but you can do that. Like, for example, if you want to, we've done things like this for receipt of delivery. So you deliver something, and you need to do a barcode. So, or you need to, do a signature to say that the person actually received it. Like when the UPS person delivers something to your house. Okay. Oh, and then so here's just a demo real quick. Shows the thing, and it saves it in the back end. Okay. Pretty cool. And there you go, you have it in the back end. So there's Quentin's email. So super cool. Okay. So now we have another survey question. So I'm going to take a few seconds to give you guys, I'm going to ask you guys for okay, I'll just give a little bit of time. And while you're filling in the responses, I will have a look at I'll look at the chat. I'm going to open up the chat, and I'm going to open up Chris, someone says that the Barcode Edition is really cool. I agree. It was a feature request from a customer that we just put into the product itself. So if you do want to make a 4D for iOS, if you do want to make an application, a mobile application, and you are working through the process, I believe one of us in this call has done that with us already. We'll meet with you. We'll discuss all of the use cases to make sure what's in the product is everything that you need to be in the product. And if not, we can explain how to implement it, or we can, if it makes sense for multiple people, then we can put it in the product itself. And if you are, feel free to reach out to your account representative if you are starting to develop with it, and we can hook you up with, we'll have some talks with the professional services team, myself, and your account manager. Thanks for doing that. Someone asked if we will provide a link to the webinar. Yes, this will be on the on YouTube. That's why I'm not saying names. So it'll be on you, and it's generally shared in the thank you for attending email. So what about 4D for iPad OS? iOS screen size is too small to field needs.
Currently, we have the template specific to iPhone only, or iPod, whatever you're using. But I know that there's been a talk about extending the template to the iPad as well, but currently it's not yet available.
And if you have a real need for doing something in an iPad as opposed to currently you are able to run your entire 4D for iOS application in an iPad. It's not an issue. It's just certain things are not, let's say, it's not designed to look perfect on the iPad. It's designed to look perfect on the iPhone, which has a different geometry and this and that. So if you do have a use case, we can, and you do have an actual like project that you'd like to work on, we can work on it with you to show how you could use that for an iPad application, what you would need to do to get it looking perfect in the iPad. Okay. So reach out to us, and we may reach out to you and discuss that more. So someone asked about the barcodes, 2D or 1D barcodes. The barcodes are, so there are a million different types of barcode protocols. If you have a specific one that you're looking at, if it's not in the documentation, ask us. We used a package that has a lot of barcodes built in. So yeah, and they're never anything that are human readable themselves, the name of the barcodes. So if you have a question, ask on discuss.40.com about a specific barcode that you're looking for. But generally, we're saying barcodes because we used a robust package, we feel. So. So someone asked, so if I'm understanding correctly, we won't have to synchronize through iTunes. I would like very much to avoid, so I think this person is asking, do you have to go through the Apple Store to deploy your application? The answer is no. And on developer.40.com, we discuss various ways that you can deploy an iPhone application as an enterprise application without having to go into the store. So feel free to reach out, and if you do have any questions, by all means, contact any one of us at 4D, and we would be interested to talk to you about that. So
you could also go through deploy through Dropbox if you want to.
That's what we do. That's what we do internally. Yeah, we deploy. We build an enterprise application, and we deploy internally through Dropbox. We generate a QR code for our Dropbox location. You scan it on your phone, and it takes it and downloads it correctly if it's signed in an appropriate way. So, and all of that is discussed in developer.40.com. And if it's not, by all means, if you have any questions, let us know, and we can definitely get it to you on discuss.40.com or with us. So do we have to deploy 40 for iOS apps via test flight or as a normal Apple developer? Again, that's answered on 40. That's developer.40.com. So it's live. So sorry. So I must have made a mistake. So the person was asking about syncing directly with iTunes. No, the data. So that when you're using 40 for iOS, the data is living actually in your 40 server. So there's no syncing through iTunes per se. It's syncing with your 40 data store.
The communication, it happens directly between your application and your 4D application. There's no middle guy or middleman or somewhere
Man in the
where
middle. Okay. And someone asked, is this essentially the 4D version 19 release? Not quite yet. 40 version 19 is going to be is slated to be released. We have a 3-month feature release cycle. So this is the feature release directly before the V19, and I'll get to that a little bit later. But so almost close, but no cigar. We're almost there. But if you want to go to version 19, it's great to start to play with these new features and start to get used to and make sure and start to test with the 40 version 19. This is the closest that you'll be getting for version 19. So we recommend, if you want to get on the R release, it'll make and do a deployment, test your application, make sure everything works out okay. And then the move to V19 should be much easier. So, and again, there's a lot of, I see in the chat, there's a lot of talk about iPads and iPad look and feel. Again, you are able to make your 40 for iOS application, and you're able to push it, build it, compile it for an iPad. It just will not have specific iPad features that people may expect. And if you do need those features, we can definitely build them for you with the professional services team. We have the designers where we make 40 for iOS, and we know what needs to be done to make sure to add those sorts of features into iPad specific applications. And if the worry is using if the worry is that you can't get enough you can't get enough entry fields or drop downs in your iPhone application, in your 40 for iOS application, for me, that's applications shouldn't have a lot of entry fields necessarily, only a few. So if you are finding yourself having a ton of entry fields, maybe the UI should be reviewed in your 40 for iOS application. Just a thought. That's my 2 cents. But we can definitely review and discuss anything if you do have a development project that you want to do and you have a client that really wants an iPhone application, by all means, let us know and we can see how we can make 40 for iOS work for you. Okay. So thank you. Thanks you all for those questions. Appreciate it. And the next thing I'm going to review is the Data Explorer. So this is an eagerly awaited feature that's previewed in 40 version 18R6. So what this, I guess in a nutshell, what this provides you as a developer, say you're doing a new, so you're making a web only application, you have the data, but you're not making a client server application, but you want to be able to see the data that's inside of your data store, your 40 server. Well, what this does is it provides a super nice and easy to use portal out of the box that allows you to navigate your data to make sure you know what's going on when you possibly don't have a 40 client server application to do that, or if you have a new development or a new server, a new application, and you don't have all that the way to get out at all that data right now from a client server. So this is more for debugging, new application development. So as you know, we're always looking for new developers and looking for new applications out there. And we feel that this is a great tool to help and to aid in the development of new applications. So it may not be necessary for you, but you can imagine it would be interesting for if you would have had this at the beginning. So and what I'm going to do is I'm going to let what the marketing team made for this this video that the marketing team made speak for itself, and I'm just going to play it. The sound is on, so you should hear the sound. So here we go. Okay. So let's go to the chat. The question, so someone asked, does this data viewer require a specific license to use?
No, it comes out of the box.
Out of the box. So no specific license to use, which is the 40 server. So someone says, someone, so let's quickly, how does an issue getting so is this a separate port than the primary HTTP port?
Yes, it is.
Yes.
It runs in its own port, and it runs in a separate part of the web server.
So yes, and again, how is security set up? So that's all. So you can turn it off. You can disable this. You can disable it, and that's you can. That was the number one. That was my number one concern, right? What? How do we? That's great, but I don't want to see that necessarily in a hosted environment that's managed by someone else. So you can actually turn it off. You can turn it off. You can shut down the whole thing. So you don't allow this sort of. You don't allow the data viewer at all. So answer live, done. Is this available on a compiled database?
It will be available for both non-compiled and compiled.
Thank you. And someone said about they're having some issues with their application using, I'm gonna say that you can, if you're having issues, I'm gonna refer you to discuss.40.com or to tao.40.com to fix the issues with that you're seeing. So let me just say. Then I'm going to read this is a long one in the chat. Thank you for the feedback. The next one is in the chat. Is it? Yeah. So with the video, yeah, the video is the video is a bit long, but I think that there's a ton of things to show you, and I couldn't have done it faster in a demo myself. So it was a decision that we took. Is it possible to have an attributed instance?
I think, Chris, I'm sorry.
I think this is
for the question about object fields and attributes and stuff like that. I think let's take this question to the forums. Might be a better channel. I don't want to take a lot of time in this presentation for the question about object field.
Mm-hmm. And someone asks, does the data viewer require REST access to view the data? I'm not sure.
Good question. As far as I know, it does use REST in many ways. If you look at the way that the query is built on from the front end, it does access 4D used through order type of query. So I can almost, I feel almost certain that it is required REST. But it again, this is sort of nothing that you need to enable yourself. Everything comes out of the box. The actual web server part of the data browser actually is split out from the main one that you will use to serve all of your web content.
And again, this is nothing that you would deploy, right? This is only for debugging on your, most likely debugging on your local machine.
Yeah. I think this is something important to understand. This is not an end user feature. It is a feature for developers, specifically, something that allows you to take a look at your data very quickly, browse through, enable some of the options, but not something that you want to deploy to an end user. An administrator probably for a specific reason.
So, thank you. Okay. And one more question. This was so this was shown in shown in 40 remote, yes. The changes were done in 40 remote. I haven't tested. So the question is, it appeared that the application was being served from 40 remote, not off the main server itself. I need to add, if I've run it from the server.
You said remote, you're probably talking about the actual standalone. It's not remote in the sense of 40 client. I think the demo was shown running from a standalone version of 40, not a 40 remote.
Okay. Thank you. So next are going to be a few odds and ends. So just a big list. These are all from the what's changed portion of the doc.40.com. So if you don't review that whenever you do an upgrade, I recommend you do that. There have been some questions already to us about these things. So the deprecation of specific internet commands, POP3 review email commands, and SMTP send mail commands are now being deprecated. Okay. And if you are using these, feel free to reach out to us, and we can explain how to get around that. But so those are being deprecated. And deprecated doesn't mean that it's being removed. Deprecated means that it's slated to be removed at some point. So update the ICU. So that you can have some re-indexing times can increase, can be significant in this application, depending on the types of indexes that you're using, where you're using. So review that, please review and plan an upgrade. If you're going to 18R6, plan it accordingly. And then I guess 19 as well, because 19 has all that. Object fields, you're now able to export your object fields in journal are now going to be exported in JSON, as opposed to being treated as a blob before. There have been some enhancements to string comparison, that if you're using a lot of string comparison, which probably you most likely are, look into there and see how there's an interesting blog post about it, how the string comparison is getting better and more feature rich. There's some minor changes into the usage of an entity section's min, max, and average functions. Before, if the entity selection was empty and you called a min or a max or an average on an empty entity selection, you would receive a null, and now you're going to receive an undefined. So that's a little bit of a change. And then if you're using the command WP elements, the order that the elements are being returned are the same elements, but now they're in Z list order, not in the ID, not in the order of the ID of their ID. the internal ID. So if you are using WP get elements, there is a workaround. If whatever you're doing is based on the order in which it was previously returning, you should review that usage, and there's just you can order by the ID if need be. So all small things, but just things to keep in mind. Okay. And in the chat, oh, someone said thank you. Thank you too for joining. Are there any other questions? About anything we've discussed here today? And I know I went a little bit over, so thank you guys. Thanks everybody for staying. Appreciate your participation, all the great questions. This is a fun thing. Again, this is a fun thing that Ad and I get to do, to present what's going on. And it's pretty wild how much we get to present every 3 months from what the team is doing. So yeah. Someone asked, do we have more details on the ICU changes? The details are in the doc. And if you have any specific questions, I would reach out to the forums.
Yeah, the library has been updated.
The library has been updated.
You can only assume that there's some changes was updated to the library itself. So that's why re-indexing was required.
Yeah, some indexing had the changing. Will the IC require a re-index on 18R6 and again on 819? I'm going to say the index, the library has been updated in 18R6, which normally, unless it gets updated again for V19, it will be the same library. So I'm going to say no. As of right now, from what I know, no. But if there is another update to the library, it may require a re-indexing, and we will let you know in the same way. This is a warning, right? Just to let you know to plan your updates, just in case for your data, that those changes affect you. So. And then, yeah, thank you guys for your time. I'm glad someone said I'm on-clicked. Yeah, Ad helped clarify that with me with that demo too. So I did not understand what the blog post was saying, and so that's I'm glad I did it too. So thank you for joining for that. And then the next webinar is going to be in about 3 months, and that is going to be the 40 version V19 webinar. So we hope to see you all there. Have a look at the blog. All of the latest features are actually in the blog right now, I believe. We like to get the features. We like to front load the blog with all the features on when the beta goes into release. Have a test with the beta, see what's going on. There's a lot of changes in 40 for iOS, 40 View Pro, and there's still more coming. So we'll talk in about 3 months, everybody. Thank you very much. And have a great rest of your week. Stay safe, and we hope to see you all really soon. And enjoy those weddings if you're going to them.
Thank you, guys.
Take care, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.